breathers.
And welcome.
My name is Shannon Butler.
I'm Sue Teresi, as always.
And here we are with another fabulous, super fabulous episode of
All My Favorite People. Oh, Dad! Wow! Wow! Okay, she just freaked me out.
That was hysterical.
We couldn't have done that if we planned.
Wow. Our brains are like...
Okay, Shannon and I work too closely, or she's in my head.
I don't know what happened there.
With that pause, we both did the cut your head off sign without, anything. We just took a pause, and at the exact same time, we both went... off with the head.
That was so not
and
planned.
We're mirroring each other without planning it. I guess we could, you know what? I bet we could finish each other's sandwiches.
I mean, I'd happily finish a sandwich.
Okay. That was beyond creepy. Stay out of my brain.
I know, what the heck? Get your own damn brain.
Jinx, you owe me a beer. Wow.
That was wild.
That was pretty good.
Whew. Okay, so...
Well, now that we've creeped each other out.
Yeah, really. We're on the same page.
We are.
Yeah, we are. So
literally.
We got another fresh episode of Dead People for you.
All right.
A dead person, anyway.
And so now I understand you just got a classic car. Tell us about your car.
Not only is it a classic, it's beyond classic.
The classic is driven by the classy lady.
Well, as I like to say, classy as fuck. It's an antique, so it's actually even beyond the classic realm.
Okay.
So yeah, it is a 1931.
Oh, when I was a kid.
Whoa. Yeah. You look good for age.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's all the blood I drink. Yeah.
Oh, that'll do it.
You have to drink the blood in the skulls of your enemies.
Blood of the virgins?
No, we're not picky.
Okay.
Now, just right. As long as it's in the skulls of your enemies.
Oh, yeah.
They're dishwasher safe.
Oh, yeah. That
Top rack, yeah. So that's what keeps me looking so good.
So, yeah, 1931, good year.
Yeah.
It's a Ford Model A. It's a four-door with a slant windshield. It's super classy.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Black?
It's actually a dark green. And with black top.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a two-tone kind of thing going on.
Okay.
It needs a lot of love.
I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah.
To me, it looks like a cross between a hearse, which I like, and a top hat on wheels.
Yeah.
It's very elegant. Now, does it have modern amenities like AC?
No.
Heat?
No.
No heat?
No.
The hell are you going to do all winter? Freeze?
I'm not going to drive in the winter.
No, and no AC. Look, right. my last minivan, the AC died, and I drove without it. Okay, let's try this. Radio?
No radio.
The hell does it have in there?
Steering wheel.
Steering wheel.
It does have a windshield. One windshield wiper.
One windshield
for the driver's
wiper.
Side. Yeah.
Naturally. Okay.
It's got headlights.
So I guess Bluetooth is out of the.
Yeah. No Bluetooth.
Where do I plug in my my headphone? Shannon, I can't plug in my phone.
I will not be answering the phone when I'm driving the Model A.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
It's
no
also,
heat though. That's crazy.
Well, and technically, I mean, the AC. And what they would refer to as an AC is the slanted windshield.
The window there.
Yeah. It pops out and the air comes in and voila.
Now, I've driven cars without power steering.
Yeah, no
power steering. Yeah, you're going to really, you got to, I've driven.
You got to double clutch it. It's a double clutch.
Oh, it's a double, so both hands and both feet.
Oh, yeah. You got to,
I always pop the clutch. I don't drive stick for that reason, because I need one hand on the steering wheel, one hand on the CD player, one hand on the thing. But you don't have the...
Yeah, no, there's a
double clutch.
There's really nothing else to distract you from just driving this car.
Aside from the heat and the cold.
Well, like I said, I'm not worried. I'm not going to drive in the wintertime. It's going to be a show car that I take it to the car shows. I take it to a parade or something.
It's a very stupid question. What kind of tires? All weather?
Not really. They're old school. They're small tires.
So it's not meant for...
Nah.
Aside from the cold, you really cannot drive that in the ice.
I really wouldn't.
It's dangerous, right?
Just
checking.
It's, it's got brakes. there's that.
Oh, that's a good. Okay, brakes are good.
Brakes are good.
So when you say in the middle of a snowstorm, "Come get in the Model A,"
I would
that
never
would
say
be like a Thelma and Louise, and I should be very suspicious.
I would never say that.
Okay, so that's not going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen.
Okay, if any of you breathers see Shannon and me rolling in the Model A in the middle of winter, one of you might have to do an episode about us.
Yeah, because it's not going to be pretty. I'm also going to get the Bird a lot because like it's got a whopping 40 horsepower.
So no Autobahn. So you won't be speeding down the boulevard.
I'm not even going to take it on the throughway.
You couldn't. 40 miles. Could you get pulled over for that?
No. Its top speed is like 50.
Oh boy.
So yeah, I mean, if I were to install an overdrive in it, which would be a more modern amenity, I could maybe get it up to like 60. Oh, but I was told you don't want to do that. Not with the brakes on that thing.
Yeah, but this isn't for speed. You know, it's
not. It's just for, like I said, car shows and the occasional Sunday drive. And yeah, it's not a practical vehicle. It's not like something I'm going to drive to work every day. You know, it's going to be cool. For me, it's a piece of history. And it's a piece of history that my brother and I will try to restore together and give it its former glory. Her name is Leona, by the way.
Her name is Leona,
named after my grandmother.
Aww.
So my mother, it's my father's mom, but my mother says, "Oh, so you mean crotchety old bitch?"
That's her middle name.
I was like, well, I'm sure she'll kind of be a crotchety old bitch. Like, I got her home yesterday.
Wow.
Got her in the garage, and the guy who helped me trailer her from Connecticut to here was helping me get her started. He's like, let's see if she starts. I was like, okay. So we got her started. I was like, woohoo!
That's
yay!
always good. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. And then he took off, and then he calls me. He's like, oh, hey, remember to unhook the battery. You don't want to, drain the battery from that thing. I was like, okay. So I get in there, and I'm trying to get the cables off the battery, and I can't do it. I was like, what the fuck? What the? And I'm like,
oh, gee.
I was like, is this because I'm a girl? Come on, bitch! And then I take a pair of pliers. I finally get it off.
Okay, well, it was stuck.
Wow. I was just like, really? We're off to a good start here, Leona.
Now, what does the horn sound like?
Auga!
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 I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
oh
so I'm really excited.
You should be. That's a big accomplishment. It's a beautiful piece of history to own.
It is a piece of history.
Yeah.
Now, for the true buffs out there, they know this is a special car. Like if there's any antique car guys listening, and I'm going to share this on the antique car clubs that I'm a member of, they're going to know this car. They're going to know what exactly when I mention it. They're like, oh yeah, that's a great car,
Wow.
And it just so happens we're going to talk about the man behind that car today.
The chauffeur?
Actually, strangely enough, my grandfather was a chauffeur at the age of 14, driving a Model A, probably the fancier town sedan, or even a Victoria.
At 14?
At 14, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's
fascinating.
That's what my grandfather did. Yeah.
Holy.
So it's it's in the blood apparently.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, the man behind this car, Edsel Ford.
Yes.
That is
guy.
my guy today. My dead guy that I'm going to be talking about today.
Okay.
So everyone knows his father, right?
Yeah.
Henry Ford, right? The grand businessman and the first to implement the assembly line, right?
Yeah, big guy.
The big automotive guy.
Yeah.
His Model T vehicles sold like hotcakes, right? Mm-hmm. And that was really the first car that really anybody can afford.
Okay.
It put America on the road, so to speak.
Okay. Even though there were no roads.
Right, yeah, barely any roads, right. But for all of Henry's grand ideas and talents, the guy was a dick.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he was a dick.
You mean he was a big anti-Semite?
I
really?
mean, we'll talk about that.
Oh, really? Here we go.
We're just going to put it out there.
Here comes the Jew viewpoint. He was a big freaking anti-Semite.
Well, my line for today is Henry Ford was a dick. We'll repeat that several times during the course of this.
Oh, good. You can't be perfect.
No,
you can create an assembly line and do some great things.
Just because you do grand, incredible things that change the country's history does not mean you're a good guy.
See, this is the problem I have with separating the art from the artist. Right. I used to be a big Woody Allen fan. And then I found out something like he married his daughter.
Right.
I kind of have a problem with that, so now I don't go to Woody Allen films.
Right.
Same thing with Mel Gibson.
Right.
You know, I have trouble appreciating the art if I dislike the artist.
I understand that, yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, luckily, the guy we'll be talking about today, Edsel,
is not like his
father. Is not. Absolutely not. And in fact, Henry Ford can probably be one of the causes of Edsel's early death. I think he had a hand in
he killed his son?
Not intentionally, but just because of his mannerisms and the way he was, I think he caused the stress that eventually killed his son.
Jeez.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into that. He was really hard on Edsel. He was hard on all those who worked for him. He really was.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Henry Ford was a dick. That's the quote for the day.
Okay. No, I heard he was a hard ass.
Yeah, he was. He really was. So I decided that Edsel Ford deserves credit. And what the hell? We'll give him his own podcast episode.
That's right. Not his father.
Right, because I think he's pretty cool. He was an artistic man.
Okay.
He was a sensitive guy.
Not an anti-Semite, from what I understand.
Not. So
I'm okay with him.
I'm going to get into that.
Oh, goody.
Okay, so Edsel Bryant Ford was born on November 6th, 1893 in Detroit, Michigan. He was the only child of Clara Bryant Ford and Henry Ford. Now, he was exposed to the world of early automobiles pretty much like being born into this world, like there was like oil in this guy's veins, essentially.
I guess when your father's Henry Ford, let's get serious.
You don't have a choice. Yeah. He was 6 weeks old when his father was testing out his first engine, pretty much on the kitchen table.
Doesn't everyone?
I mean, right?
Move the turkey!
Yeah, I got an engine here. Let's go. He was driving these early automobiles that were coming out by the time he was 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
So he can drive on his own by 12. He wrote I found this online. He wrote the cutest little letter to Santa when he was 8 years old. I think
it wasn't bring me a car. I can tell you that.
Strangely enough, no. He wrote, this is cute. He said, "Dear Santa, I haven't had any Christmas tree in 4 years, and I have, whoops, I lost my page. I have broken all of my trimmings, and I want some more, and I want a pair of roller skates and a book. I can't think of anything more. I want you to think of something. Goodbye, Edsel Ford." So sweet.
What did he get that year?
Good question.
Nothing.
Oh, I'm sure he got something. He had to get something.
Not when your father's a jerk.
His father was not a jerk at that point.
He
changed.
became a jerk later on.
One biographer said that as a boy, Edsel had a vulnerable, deer-like quality, looking as if he was about to bolt away from the conversation at any moment. He was thin and frail. His face often broke out in angry patches of acne, and he had been certain about only one thing in his life, that his future would involve the Ford Motor Company. Because when your dad is Henry Ford,
no choice.
That's it. So Edsel...
Big shoes to fill.
For real.
You know, when your father is a megalomillionaire, and the head of a big company...
Yeah. You're kind of
what are you going to do? You're gonna do what? You're gonna be an artist? You know, you're gonna paint? Yeah, sure you are.
Well, he tried to. Yeah. So
okay.
Edsel was incredibly bright. He was artistic, and he would continue to be this way throughout his life.
Okay.
Now he was sent off to Hotchkiss School in Connecticut, and then from there he went on to the Detroit University School. He would actually drive his mother's electric car, the Model N, to and from school when he was a kid, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Edsel apparently got his tech shop teacher, Clarence Avery, to join up in his father's company, and Clarence Avery was partially responsible for helping put along the assembly line. So he was kind of part of that. Yeah. Now, he graduated from the Detroit University School in 1912, and he would head to his father's office every day. During school, he would head there every day. But he was always working and always thinking and always tinkering. Edsel seemed to worship his father at this time.
Okay.
But it was kind of like a worshiping an angry god, you know?
Sure, like, demigod, yeah.
Like there's respect there, But I think there's also a healthy dose of fear.
Fear.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Edsel assumed that he would head off to Ivy League school like all of his fellow school chums. But his father was convinced that everything he ever needed to learn or know, he could learn at the Ford Motor Company.
Alrighty then.
So Edsel agreed to stay and work for his father full-time after graduating.
Like he had a choice.
Yeah. He didn't get a chance to go off to college, which he was actually kind of bummed about. But his father's like, no. Everything you need to know,
you don't need
learn
college.
here.
You get in the factory.
That's right. So in 1915, he was 21 years old, and he drove... I took a little trip from Detroit to San Francisco on rugged roads and horse trails in a fucking Model T. And I'm just like, damn. It took him 5 weeks to get from Detroit to San Francisco. Yeah, it's a long trip.
Yeah.
Then he would continue to drive all over the place. He drove to New Mexico, Grand Canyon. He drove through the Rocky Mountains. These are all places he was doing all this all before major tourism, major roads. So that was like wild. Yeah, okay. Also in 1915, his father made him the secretary of the Ford Motor Company.
Naturally.
And he worked all the way up to vice president of the company 2 years later.
What's that word? Nepotism?
A little bit.
Word?
Yeah, you can move up the ladder real quick when your father owns a joint.
I imagine.
So in 1916, Edsel surprised his mother and father by falling in love. Fancy that. He married.
Was that allowed?
Well, they kind of wished that he hadn't. I think they would have preferred that he just stayed at home, like,
What's
forever.
the name of that Queen song? I'm in love with my car.
Oh, yeah. That's a great
maybe
song.
that's what they wanted.
Maybe.
You gotta fall in love with a car, or at least somebody who works
and just
here.
worship your father forever.
That's right.
So he fell in love with a woman named Eleanor Clay. They had met at a dancing school when she was 15 and he was 18.
Okay.
Their wedding took place at her uncle J.L. Hudson's mansion in Detroit. Her uncle owned like a really big department store in Detroit. So money
goes to money.
Yeah, exactly. They went on to have 4 kids. Henry II, right, named after his father. Benson, Josephine, and William. He was actually going to name one of his kids after himself, but then he was like, I can't do that. I can't.
Wouldn't it be funny if they named the kid like Mercedes or Cadillac? I'm just from
Dodge.
Yeah. I just think that would be funny.
Meanie. Okay, so after they had Henry, Edsel wanted to join up and serve during World War I.
Okay.
He wanted to go fight for his country.
Okay.
All young men his age were doing it. But his father absolutely refused.
Kept him out.
You're not going and serving overseas.
Kept them out.
But also, I'm like, you're a grown-ass man, Edsel. Stick up to him. He wouldn't.
Fear, respect is earned.
Yeah.
Fear is instilled.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So if he instilled that, I've seen it with students, if he instilled that fear of him, there's no getting out from that for some people.
And he never would.
Never would. And especially if you're saying, what happens later in life.
Yeah.
He just never got out from under his
not.
thumb or under his shadow or whatever.
His father had an immense hold on Edsel.
Yeah.
For sure.
And, it could be partially controlling the purse strings. The Kennedys were like that. You don't do what we say.
Yeah.
Look what we did to, what was it, Eunice or the one Rosemary.
Oh, Rosemary.
I think I read something like Teddy said that once. Well, we all saw what Dad did to Rosemary. Yeah. And, we all knew that was a warning that you don't disrespect the family.
That would be a good podcast to do. We got to do
one. We could do
that.
Yeah, we could do that.
All right. So anyway, he was incredibly embarrassed that he didn't serve in World War I. And that would show later on with his actions in World War II, which we're going to talk about. In 1928, Edsel and Eleanor moved their family into a lovely mansion designed by Albert Kahn at Gockler Point in Grosse Pointe Shores, Michigan, which is a museum today. Beautiful house. In 1922, they decided to build themselves a fancy summer home in Maine, right next to John D. Rockefeller Jr. Ooh,
that must be nice.
Very fancy neighbors.
Yeah, like I could ever live in his neighborhood.
What, you know who lives in his house now?
Not me.
Well, it was designed by Duncan Chandler, a New York City architect. It's a fabulous home.
I bet.
It's called Skylands.
Oh, cool.
And its current owner is Martha Stewart.
Oh, naturally.
Yeah, and I'm sure she's doing the house justice.
I have no doubt. She, if anybody can restore it, she can. But
and she even has this cute Edsel parked out front.
Oh,
I've seen pictures of the house and the Edsel. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a little homage.
I like it.
That's very nice.
I approve. 1919, Edsel took over the company, but really only on paper. Now he's president. Mm-hmm. His father makes him president, but like I said, he was president of the company, but not really.
I said you could be the president type of thing?
Yeah. His dad's
I said you could make the decisions, but you'll ask me first before you make the decision. Yeah, nice.
His father would always be in charge. As long as the man's breathing, he will always be in charge. But Edsel did help the company to grow during this tenure in the 1920s. Now, Henry Ford believed that vehicles should be basic, practical, utilitarian, and nothing more, right?
Back then, that was it. It should be a horse.
Yeah, well, he didn't think that they needed to be flashy. He didn't think they needed to be beautiful. None of that.
Didn't need heat.
Right, didn't need any of that.
Yeah.
Hence the very basic Model T. But Edsel strongly disagreed. Like I said, he was an artistic guy. He actually wanted his father to hire architect Frank Lloyd Wright when they were designing a home, Fairlane in Michigan. Edsel said, you should bring in Frank Lloyd Wright. But Henry didn't like his contemporary designs. And
he didn't like Frank Lloyd Wright's designs?
Yeah, he didn't.
Really? Okay.
So,
alrighty.
But, Edsel was inspired by all these new movements. He could see what was going on. He liked the arts and crafts movement.
Imagine if he was around now, and he would have, heated seats and tinted, he would have been one of those.
He would have been having a grand time.
Putting in all these really cool things.
Oh, for sure. He loved European cars. The European cars that were coming out at the time were flashy. They were stylish.
Beautiful.
He was inspired. So he actually designed a new car in 1921. But his father was like, no. The Model T is the only car anyone needs.
I'm sorry, I thought I was the president.
Now, they started making Model Ts in 1908, right?
And they're still...
It's 1921. They're still making the same damn car.
Yeah.
It's like, it has not changed. A couple of minor things here and there. It's more or less the same. So, not only did Henry say, no, we're not doing this, but he destroyed Edsel's new design. Destroyed it. It's like, what the fuck?
You might as well take your kindergartner's painting
that
they made it. Look, Mommy, look what I brought home.
Rip it.
Crumble. That sucks. Throw it in the fireplace.
No, you suck.
Yeah. But you're the president.
So, firstly, this is your son's work. And secondly, why do you got to be so harsh about it? Even if you don't like it, you can just go, well,
maybe not. Yeah.
Let's work on this a little bit more. Just try another one, But no, he's just like, rip, throw it out.
Wow.
Say it with me. Henry Ford was a dick. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna continue with that.
Father of the Year.
I mean, for real. So now, hi, kitty cat. You're right where I need to be. Okay, never mind.
I'm going to sit on your stuff.
He's going to sit on all my research. Okay, now, he did convince his father to purchase the Lincoln Motor Company in 1922.
Oh.
Which, of course, is well known for its luxury and its style, right? Lincoln is still part of the Ford Company today.
Okay.
It's their luxury line.
Okay.
So that's something, he was able to do that.
Okay.
But he couldn't get his father to say yes to a new car until 1926. So it took a long freaking time. Edsel worked with designers to create the Model A, which was sometimes referred to as the baby Lincoln, because it was fancier, faster, had better brakes, and was the first car to have safety glass in the windshield.
Safety glass in the windshield. That's always good.
So the old glass would shatter. Yeah, and people would get cut all up to hell.
Oh, wow.
But Model A's were the very first car ever to have safety glass.
Safety, like shatterproof.
Yeah, in the windshield.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Well, that is.
A whopping 40 horsepower.
Ooh, giddy up.
Yeah. Between 1927 and 1932, Ford made over 4.3 million Model A's in different styles.
Okay.
Like I said, I have the four-door town sedan.
Right.
But there are roadsters and coupes and trucks and, a little bit of everything.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So Edsel was also interested in the world of airplanes. Edsel had joined a guy named Charles Van Auken, another young man who was part of the Ford Company, in designing a plane with a frame of metal tubing, wings made of silk, and a landing gear made of bicycle wheels, using a Model T engine to propel it. The plane flew a few feet and then crashed into a tree.
That could be a problem.
That's not a good start.
Stick to the ground.
So he didn't lose his interest in flight, even with this accident. In 1925, he took over the Stout Airplane Company to add to the Ford family of vehicle development. As a result, he financially backed Admiral Richard Byrd's historic flights, one over the North Pole in 1926 and one over the South Pole in 1929.
Very cool.
In fact, there is a range of mountains in Antarctica named for Edsel. Pretty cool.
Who knew that?
Huh.
Well, you, obviously.
I did my research.
I know.
Okay, so, you'll like this.
Oh,
You're a hockey fan.
I am.
Right? Edsel was one of the folks responsible for bringing the Detroit Red Wings into existence.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
A little piece of hockey history there for you.
All right.
All right. I don't know if you like the Red Wings or not, but...
You know, they're not the Islanders, but whatever.
Okay. Now, Edsel did not share the same feelings of hatred that his father had for both Jews and Catholics. In fact, his father...
What were they? Protestants.
No, Catholics are not Protestants.
No, what were the Fords? The Fords were Protestants?
Yeah.
And they hated the Jews and the Catholics and everybody else?
I don't know that Ford was a big church-going guy at all.
Well, obviously he wasn't Catholic. What else?
No.
Okay. So he just pretty much hated everybody.
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah. I know how he feels. I hate everybody. Everybody gets on my nerves.
Well, his father was very vocal about his hatred, particularly for the Jews. He was.
Yes, so I've heard. Yeah.
He believed that the Jews were responsible for World War I.
Yeah.
And other such.
Actually, it was just me personally.
Oh, just you?
Yeah.
How'd
How'd
you do that?
Spending.
Spend.
I didn't have a coupon, and I plunged the country into a deficit.
That's enough to cause some shopping.
It is when I go shopping. No coupons. Or as I like to call them, Jupons. And, so actually it wasn't all my people, it was just me single-handedly.
Oh, I see.
That was after I brought the plague.
Oh, yeah.
Plunged the world into
Cholera.
World War, whatever it is.
I see, I gotcha.
So, Ford was partially right, it was all me.
Oh.
Single-handedly. I don't want to blame everyone.
You heard it here first, Sue.
That's right.
Folks.
You heard it,
Sue caused all the trouble.
It's all me.
Okay. Anywho.
That's how I roll. Keep it up.
So Edsel was downright disgusted by his father.
It's embarrassing. You talk about being embarrassed.
Oh, he was way embarrassed.
When your father's a hater like that?
Yeah. Now, he would try... This is something that kind of forms over time, right? He wasn't always like this. I think World War I is where he's really starting to get vocal about his hatred towards Jews.
Let me tell you from experience. This type of stuff just doesn't show up one day like a pimple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? There was always something there.
There was always something there.
Yeah. It comes out, but the seed has to be planted.
Yeah.
No one wakes up one day and says, there was a war, it's the Jews.
Yeah.
No. Hatred doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. Just saying.
So anyway, he was kind of slowly falling apart from his father, essentially, at this time period.
Sure.
And in an effort, he recalled that in an effort one day to try to reconnect with his father, he recalled trying to tell his father a joke that poked fun of Jews. And even though his father laughed at it, Edsel became reddened with shame at the price he had to pay for this momentary closeness.
This is what I have to be to...
Right.
This is what I got to do to be close to my father, tell anti-Semitic jokes.
In other words, he felt like shit for using anti-Jewish humor to connect with his dad.
I wonder what would have happened if he said, Dad, come over for lunch. We're having bagels and a schmear. Here, try the lox. Try the herring.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that would have gone over big.
So Edsel saw that his father had changed, and Henry Ford was no longer the same loving father that he had once been when Edsel was young.
Wait, the same loving father that made him president and wouldn't let him do anything and crumpled up his work, and that loving father guy?
I think he's referring to his childhood.
Yeah.
Like, he was good. They were close when he was a child.
No.
You don't think so?
Right.
Maybe he's making it up. Maybe that's what he's trying to remember.
I've seen, again, at work, I've seen this. Some parents can parent children.
Yeah.
They can't parent their adult children.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's easy,
it's
easy when your kid is 7 and, you bounce them on your knee, go to bed, go to your mother, you know.
Yeah.
It is. When they get to be adults and they have their own ideas.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's probably a mix of this.
Plus, I've seen that before.
Plus, the success of the Ford Motor Company has just blown up Henry Ford's ego. He's like a godly figure now.
That's right.
He's got more money than he knows what to do with. He was poor when he first started out, and then what they used to call him Crazy Henry for his ideas on engines and things. But
crazy now.
They all worked out. So now he's like, I'm the shit.
That's right.
And that fucks with you.
Yeah.
So Henry Ford was volatile. He was eccentric. He was self-absorbed, as one biographer wrote, but pretty much all biographers have written. And it was very hard for Edsel to be his own man.
And he's an only child.
Yeah, he's an only child. Yeah. So it's all on him to carry this on.
Right.
He every time he tries to do his own thing, his father's overpowering every movie he makes. It would definitely take a toll on the much more sensitive Edsel, because he really is. He's a sensitive guy. Edsel would rebel against his father in small ways by doing things like that his father
wouldn't do.
Stupid shit like that. He would smoke. He would drink. His father didn't do any of those things, but he wouldn't do it in front of his father. Like, he would do it as soon as it was out of his father's eyesight. Then he would do these things. He did enjoy living a more outlandish lifestyle.
He had the money to do so. Why wouldn't he?
Well, his father had the money to do so, but he didn't. He didn't like the fact that he was rich. Almost, he didn't lavish like Edsel did.
He's also a generation younger. You know, the second generation.
Yeah. Like Edsel
isn't the new money. Yeah, the father comes into, and he's probably still like, clipping coupons. I mean, I can imagine if, I didn't grow up rich, and then all of a sudden you get all this money. Yeah. You're still clipping coupons from Sunday's paper because you just don't know any better. Yeah. The next generation, I'm sure, woohoo! They're not.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's enjoying his yachts.
That's right.
He's horse breeding. He's got fancy houses, fancy cars.
He's a Kardashian now. You can't blame him.
Yeah, he loves the lifestyle of the rich and famous, and he pulls it off much easier than Henry did. Yeah. He was born into it. He also enjoyed indulging in his children's interests and desires, right? Sure. But whenever the kids, all of Edsel's kids remembered that visiting the grandparents seemed like a chore. Like, Edsel's like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go over and see him, You're
going to see Grandpa, get your Jew jokes.
Oh, God. Now, I think the way he lived his life was a rebellion to his father. So little things like that. He was trying to just kind of be his own man in whatever way he could, which wasn't really what he wanted to do. Now, Edsel was a major, and why can't I ever say this word properly? Philanthropist. Oh, I did it. Okay, good.
You said that correctly.
Major philanthropist. Sometimes I can't get it out. I don't know. I can't.
No, you did twice. You
did it. Okay. I had practiced before I got here.
Now say David Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff?
See, you said that. I don't know. It's just a funny thing. Schenectady.
Schenectady. Oh, I can say
Supercalifragilistic.
Fuck you.
Expialidocious. Okay, I'm just putting it
So he was... major philanthropist.
Wait, did he get to Israel? Wait. Just to piss off the father.
Oh, that would be funny.
I made a donation, Dad. Really? To who? The IDF.
That would be funny.
Yeah, I can't see that happening.
He actually he became good friends with my boy Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Another anti-Semite.
He was not. He was not.
All righty. I see a pattern here.
He was all in your head.
Yeah, okay.
No, Edsel met FDR while he was vacationing in Georgia, and he ended up giving Franklin a check for $25,000 for his Warm Springs Foundation, which was a big deal. Actually, he was too embarrassed to hand over the check, so he gave it to a friend of his, and he said, "Here,
Mussolini."
Oh my God, Mussolini wasn't in the picture yet.
Not yet. He'll be along shortly, I'm sure.
Edsel loved to donate to charities and causes, particularly anything involving the arts. Like I said, he's very artistic.
Yeah, I get that.
He also loves national parks because he's a nature freak. So he donates heavily to the National Park Foundation. Okay. Yep. He hired Mexican muralist Diego Rivera to design murals for the Detroit Institute of Arts. He and his wife also served as trustees of the Museum of Modern Art, which drove Henry Ford nuts. Like, Henry Ford's like, what the fuck is a modern... What is it? What is this? He's not getting it.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of modern art either. You're into modern art?
Not really. But I appreciate what it is.
I can't even do that. I look at it and I'm like, what the hell?
He, like I said, he contributed to the National Parks Association, amongst other things. This is just the tip of the iceberg. His charity work goes beyond hospitals and things like that. Okay. I think his donations to the arts was another small rebellion to his father, because his father saw no need for fine art. He actually had said that he believed that fine art was too European and therefore very un-American.
Who needs art and music in the schools anyway? No. The kids don't.
And so it was far more cultured than his father would ever be.
Yeah.
Way more cultured.
Yeah. Okay.
So now Edsel, sadly, was a somewhat sickly fellow. He suffered from nausea quite a lot, which caused some of the other upper big wigs in the factory, the motor company, to claim that he had no stomach for the business. He also they claimed that he would never be quite the man that his father was, and you can't even compete with that. Meanwhile, his father was becoming even more erratic as the years are going by. By the 1930s, when they were working on the development of the V8 engine,
I drink that all the time. V8. Okay, I had to. I couldn't let that go. That was too easy.
I left it out there.
Okay, thank you.
Wow,
I could have had a V8. All right, sorry. We'll have to delete that one out. No, I could have had a V8 engine?
Yeah, a V8 engine, yeah. Anyway, Henry was threatening his engineers and designers because he believed that they were giving trade secrets to Walter Chrysler. So he's like going around the factory going, "You're fired! You're giving away my secrets here! Get the hell out!" He's just going nuts, yeah. Also during this time, Edsel was trying to create a formal structure within the Ford Motor Company. Imagine that, formal structuring. Edsel was trying to create an environment where you could have many different overseers working on different projects instead of just Henry overseeing everything and micromanaging everything to death. It's not productive. So it's okay to have several different managers to help with success and not just do it all yourself. And that's what Edsel's trying to do, and his father's fighting the whole way through.
Because he wants a micromanager.
Right. Yeah, he wants to oversee every little detail. He's also trying to allow for the company to have stock offerings to make the company go public, make it publicly owned. Even though that would take a chunk out of his own inheritance, he's like, no, I want everybody to kind of benefit from this.
Was like, no, that's not going to happen.
He's like, this is an exact quote from Henry Ford. "I'll take every factory down brick by brick before I let any of those Jew speculators get stock in my company."
Thank you. Right? Oh, thank you for that. I read that on a Hallmark card.
Nice guy,
That's lovely. Yeah.
Say it with me. Henry Ford was a dick. Okay. Yeah. But this didn't stop Edsel from doing his own thing. And sometimes without his father's say-so. He introduced the Mercury line of cars, the Lincoln Zephyr, which was a lovely mid-sized luxury car. It was, very stylish, very sexy, and a V12 engine.
Okay.
Amazing. He also created the Lincoln Continental.
Yeah.
Another very stylish,
high-end,
very sexy, very not Henry Ford.
Okay.
Now, during World War II, Edsel was responsible for aiding the war effort in a big way.
Okay.
I mentioned earlier how he had an interest in aviation. So he wanted the Ford Motor Company to help build planes for the war. And he did. He built a facility that was named Willow Run, and it was designed specifically to build B-24 bombers.
Oh.
The goal was to build one bomber an hour.
Wow.
That is major. The building was almost a mile long. The architect, who was actually Kahn, the guy who had designed their home, said it was the largest building he ever built, the longest room he ever built.
Well, sure.
They were able to pump out 9,000 planes during their time there.
Still fabulous.
His father didn't like any of this because...
Didn't want to support the war effort.
Oh, imagine that? You support the war? You mean...
Why would you do that?
Because we don't
Considering the Jews started that war too.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. So, he didn't seem to have an issue with Nazis. So he's like, what are we doing?
He was, I think he was supporting them, actually.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, once again, this is like Edsel rebelling against his father. Uh-huh. Yeah. In a good way.
By supporting his country.
And it's one of his most proudest moments. Like, this was like his way for making up for not serving in World War I.
Okay.
Is basically what it is.
Helping his nation. All right.
He's rebelling against his father. He's helping his nation. Win-win. Right?
There you go.
However, that being said, it was becoming very clear that Edsel was a very sick man at this time. He had a bout of gastritis that seemed to keep him down for quite a while. He came down with a really nasty cough. He was starting to look very gaunt and unsteady while he was working at the factory. It was determined that Edsel had stomach cancer.
Oh, okay. And
he was taken to the hospital that his father had built and paid for, actually, the Henry Ford Hospital. The surgeons opened him up, took a look, closed him back up, said, there's nothing we can do.
Oh.
Yeah. So he went back to his family's home at Gockler Point and died on May 26th, 1943. He was only 49 years old.
49?
49, yeah.
Too young.
He laid in state for 2 days while employees of the motor company walked past his very simple coffin for the viewing. Edsel's death was hard on Eleanor. The night after his burial, she slipped into Lake St. Clair and began to swim out to the middle but was eventually rescued and brought back to shore.
She's trying to kill herself.
I don't know. Was she contemplating suicide? I don't.
Well, what else would she be doing in the middle of the lake?
I'm not
looking for fish.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds suspicious to me.
You think?
So now Henry Ford took over the company after Edsel died. This was in the mid-1940s, but he was losing his marbles at this point. I mean, he was totally batshit crazy at this point. Yeah. So he clearly had some dementia going on based on his behaviors, and he was not fit to run. So Edsel's son, Henry Ford II, ended up taking over the company. Okay. Henry himself died in 1947, so a few years after his son. Edsel was buried in Woodlawn Cemetery in Detroit. And his wife, she lived on until 1976, and she's buried alongside of him.
Aww.
So...
It's a sad story. It really is.
It is really, because here was a really talented, sensitive, kind man who was a visionary for the automotive world. And
spent a lot of that time being
squashed by his father.
By his father.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very sad.
I don't get that kind of parenting. I don't know. What do I know? Nobody
and later on, they named a car after him, the Edsel, which was sadly not successful. But it's neat. Okay. When I see him at car shows, I'm always like, oh, an Edsel, because they're cool. Yeah. Well,
that's what happens when your father is
dick.
That too. I was going to say control freak hater, but yeah.
Dick words.
Well, yeah. What a shame. But fascinating story.
Isn't it, though?
Now you have a Ford.
And now I have a Ford Model A.
Look at that.
And every time I can get in it, I'll be like... This is not a Henry Ford car.
That's right.
Even though he did take credit for it. You know that bastard took credit for it.
I'm sure he took credit for everything. Yeah. Why wouldn't he?
It's like,
it's his
honey,
name on
this was not your idea. This was your son's idea.
Which now becomes my idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
All right.
Anyway.
Good story.
There we go. There's one of my favorite dead people for you.
I see why.
And I have a great appreciation.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about Henry. Yeah. You hear about him being a hater. You don't hear about Edsel that much.
No, you don't.
So, good.
So
good
he deserves some story.
Honorable mention.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
okay.
There we go.
There we go. Another fabulous episode of All My Favorite People Are Dead.
See you next time, breathers.
Bye.
All my favorite people are dead. I'm saying all my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead.